Those of you Redditers in happy, healthy, and fulfilling relationships, what were the green flags you noticed about your partner early on in your relationship with them? Evaluating my needs, something as simple as offering me some of their water after getting it for themselves. It was instantly easy to talk to her. I never felt like I had to put on a show for her because she never did with me, and she actively affirmed me in that. She immediately blew every standard I thought was high enough out of the water. Being able to discuss anything, even flaws, without them/me getting mad. Communication is the most important thing in a healthy relationship. Love is just as important though, I guess. My partner never made fun of me or acted condescending when I didn't know something. They were also humble when it came to gaps in their knowledge too. I have an autistic sister. She's currently 20 with the mental capacity of a 3-year-old. Not everyone knows how to handle that. Well, 4 years ago when my girlfriend met my family, the two immediately became best friends. My girlfriend has always cared so much for my sister and would even sit with her while I wasn't home so my mom could go HSV a life for herself. To this day, my sister smiles and laughs like a madman when she sees my girlfriend. I don't know how much information she can retain, but they've always loved each other, and I think my GF has had a huge impact on her life. When the others ladies at my workplace were airing their complaints about their spouses, and I couldn't think of a single thing to contribute to the conversation. He can laugh at himself. Yes, so do I, but when I do it they say you need to see a therapist and you good bro SMH. Before my first marriage, I often thought that maybe I should cancel the wedding, and the marriage didn't work out. I never had that thought going into my second marriage. Not one single time. That's a pretty hardcore green flag, right there. And obviously, potentially a red flag, too, if you're entertaining a fair amount of doubt prior to a wedding. I grew up in an angry, volatile home. Anything could make the adults snap and go on a rampage. When my then boyfriend, now husband, and I came home to find a major leak in the bedroom ceiling, which had leaked all over the bed and caused significant damage, he just flatly said, "Well, shit," and called the building manager. No screaming, no throwing things, no blaming anyone, just a calm acceptance and then action to rectify the problem. We're going on 16 years married and 20 years together. ETA, well this blew up. I'm sorry so many people had similar experiences to mine growing up. Can't reply to all the messages, but digital hugs for you all. It can and does get better, but you've got to work on yourself too. Otherwise, you just repeat the patterns which were modeled for you. I was able to express my emotions and thoughts to him without his getting angry or judgy. He fearlessly lets me have my feelings without trying to change them. We talk them out and it feels so much better afterwards. I feel like I could tell him absolutely anything, so the trust between us is more solid than I've ever had with anyone else. Gah, he's just the best. Also hot AF. I hate being tickled, but am very ticklish. She discovered it early in the relationship, and I asked her once to not tickle me. She has never tickled me again in the following 10 years. Just shows respect. He drove 2 hours on his birthday to pick me up when my mom abandoned me in a parking lot, brought me home, and sat with me while my parents and I tried to talk things over. My stepfather started screaming obscenities at me for no real reason. He helped me pack everything I owned in his truck and I moved in that night. After dating for 2 months. It's been 2 years, and we got married last month. It's the little things, really. Like he will always respond and pay attention to me when I called his name, even if it's for mundane stuff like me wanting to point out there's a snail on the pavement. I have Crohn's and was always kinda shame be with someone even if it's just for a night. When I start dating her I thought I won the lottery. Zero fear of what she would think because she was always so good to me and supportive, even in the bathroom. Ahaha, best girlfriend ever. We'd been dating for about a month. One day out of the blue he turns to me and goes, "I could take apart and clean the drain pipes under your sink if you want." I noticed the sink is a bit slow to empty. Completely unprompted. That's when I knew he's a man who wants to build something with me. Technically he's a man who wants to take things apart with you. She isn't afraid to have a different opinion than mine, but she always hears me out and she always supports me. Every time I phrase something about myself in a negative way, she reframes it for me in a different light, and more often than not it pulls me out of a dark mood. In my previous relationship I felt awfully critiqued for just being the person who I was, and that critique would often make me feel guilty for not meeting the standards set for me by my so. Now that I've got a partner who celebrates who I am, I realize all along that I've been holding myself back from just doing what makes me happy. The first time we had sex I got my period and didn't realize until we were done, and I went to the bathroom to pee. It wasn't a ton of blood, but I know it was enough to have gotten on him and the sheet. I walked out of the bathroom and he was standing in the doorway of the room and said something like, "Is everything okay? Did you get your period or something?" And then we both smiled big and started cracking up, and he was totally cool and sweet. The next morning he invited me to go sheet shopping with him because he needed new ones anyway and wants me to like the ones he picks. That was about 9 years ago. Before my wife and I were dating, I very quickly noticed that she always invited the loners to join in the conversation. If she noticed someone we knew sitting alone, she'd always extended an invitation to join or ask their opinion. He enabled me to face my fears, not by pushing me but by being the ultimate safe space, enabling me to take emotional risks and grow mentally. Right from the beginning I could trust him totally. I never once checked on him, worried about him cheating, or felt that jealous uncertain churning in my stomach. This was very new for me at the time and hasn't changed. After 20 years of marriage he still accepts me 100%, yet makes me want to be a better person. Plus he's funny AF. Like can't breathe, weak with laughter, funny. Genuinely incredibly grateful all the time that we found each other when we did, early 20s, and we get to spend so much of our lives together. I'd rather spend time with her doing nothing than doing something with anyone else. We trusted each other to go out alone and have fun with friends of the opposite sex. No jealousy, just faith that you'd do the right thing. Source, with her for 14 years and marries for 9. If she did something mean or unthoughtful and I brought up that it upset me, she would talk it through, and if she was wrong, she would apologize. If it was just something I misunderstood, then she would take the time to explain it and the issue was resolved. Also, she brought me my favorite chocolate or other things I mentioned without me ever asking, just because. Man, I really love her so much it's ridiculous. I noticed that people genuinely liked him, even strangers. And he'd smile at babies. Early on, she encouraged me to be more like me. Things that other people in my life didn't like about me or things that my ex told me not to do, she would embrace. Things like taking risks on new hobbies, seeking attention in conversations, my particular humor, she liked these things about me. All of that, and of course that ass. Truth. They accepted when they made mistakes. Showed real efforts in trying to improve/grow from their own traumas or baggage, didn't minimize or invalidate my emotions. We could have fun or make a date out of anything, errands, laundry day, cleaning, etc. Things that were most important to us really aligned. Politics, lack of religion, that we wanted children, quality over quantity, good food, the environment, live and let live, etc. Always felt excited to see him. I can fall apart with him and feel supported. He doesn't add stress. He loves my body, my face, my personality, everything. He loves even all my insecurities like my wide nose and big belly. We just clicked and it felt peaceful. I confessed about my anxiety disorder and he didn't use it to his advantage or make me feel broken or guilty for it. She didn't try to change me, even the things about me that she wasn't so keen on. She was able to apologize if she said something that upset or annoyed me. She listened to what I had to say, and complimented when she thought it was a good point, or politely and calmly disagreed. She acknowledged my feelings and didn't usually ignore or disparage them, and if she did, she was quick to apologize. She was always happy to hear about the things I did that I was proud of, even if they were objectively stupid or trivial. She laughed at my dumb jokes. Sometimes I can tell she's just humoring me, but it's still very sweet of her to do that. Worth noting that I feel like all these points go both ways. We have had some challenges in our marriage, but we are still going strong into the double-digit years. She apologizes when she thinks she's screwed up, and honestly tries to change. She regularly tells me she loves me exactly as I am. She gets excited for me when I'm excited about something. She tells me when there is an issue so that I can work on it, rather than sulking or going uncommunicative. We laugh together about ridiculous things happening, rather than one of us getting mad about it. She wants us to be equals in our relationship. Which means if things need to be unequal in one way or other, we work on balancing it out. I've never been able to be as completely myself before, as I can be with her. Considering we'd been dating 6 weeks before lockdown came in, and threw caution to the wind and moved in together for the duration, yes, all the lesbian stereotypes, I feel like I've used up all my luck for the foreseeable on this one. Weirdly specific, but my now partner and I were in the kinda friends kinda dating stage when COVID in the US blew up, our university went online, and everything just generally went to shit. I have bipolar and it sent me into a really bad depressive spiral. He dealt with it amazingly, stayed with me when I needed it despite me being a useless lump, respected when I didn't want to talk/do anything, helped me with the gross part of depression, aka lack of showering, etc. It was above and beyond, and I never would have expected that kind of treatment from anyone, let alone someone I had met a month ago. Thankfully on meds now and don't expect/want to face that ever again. Although the answer to "so, did you want to have sex now?" was nearly always yes, he was 100% actually prepared to cheerfully go okay, instead let's, friends/date activity, anytime it wasn't, with absolutely no resentment or guilt or anything, because he just also liked hanging out with me. Like, honest and straightforward propositioning was really refreshing compared to all the weird signaling bullshit a lot of people seem to get mired in, but it only worked because it came bundled with such graceful handling of no s. A lot of people fail at this because sex is their end goal instead of being, one of many fun activities you can do with this person you like, and it's a huge green flag because it's evidence they in fact think of you as a person rather than a relationship object. Being around him recharged me instead of draining me like most social interactions do. Together 10 years and getting ready to announce our engagement. Sex was not transactional. We don't have to have sex because he took me out to dinner or I want something done around the house. We have sex because we want to have sex. I also don't get tired of being around him. I could hang out with him all day and night for weeks on end and never need a break. He's my best friend. He comes from a very different background to mine. I love theater and museums and galleries. He'd never even been to a show. He made a point of taking me to do everything I loved doing, even when it was weird to him. He also invited me to rugby matches and cricket games with him to learn about what he was into. And lastly, I'm a veggie, so he started ordering plant-based meals when we were out. I love sharing food because I hate picking one thing from a menu, and learning to cook food I can eat, no judgment or expectations to change. I've, 26M, been in abusive relationships before this, and it was not until this partner of mine that I really understood what it was like to be in a completely happy, safe relationship. I knew that I wanted to spend more time with this girl the instant I saw her, and by the time we met a second time, we were already joking about marriage. Soon enough, it wasn't a joke. We listen to each other and respect each other. If something is getting too much for me, I still have the ability to tell her and for her not to feel bad about it. She goes out of her way to try the games and shows that interest me, even if they're out of her comfort zone. She actively asks me what I want to do and she's perfectly happy to do them, simply because they're with me. More than anything, it's more that we both have this solid idea in our head that whatever we do, ultimately we want to be with each other. There's no doubt, or suspicion, or feeling that doom is just around the corner. We want each other, and we're willing to work for it. And I think this is the first time I haven't had to settle for someone loving me less than I love them. Because when you love someone, it's not wrong to want them to reciprocate what you're doing and feeling. He feeds me so I keep coming back. She cradled me like a baby when I sobbed near uncontrollably over the suicide of my cousin after a couple of years keeping the emotion bottled up. Whenever we see someone bitching about their so bringing up shit from the past, we just laugh because we communicate and get past our shit. Just being clear about how important you are to them. If you're several months into a relationship and mutually monogamous, there should never be a time when you're sitting at home wondering whether you'll hear from them and how high, or low, on their priority list you are. If they're flaky, it's not working. He stayed up late to quiz me before an important test and to keep me company when my laundry needed to be done twice even when he had work the next day. When I saw how supremely unselfish he is. He does things for people with absolutely no expectation that anyone return the favor to him, he just does things to help people. He really is a special person. I've never met anyone like him. I always hoped someone like him existed but kinda thought it was a dream to think that. To find someone who loves me for me and who I feel is just my equal partner is just the bee's knees. She wasn't jealous. She was telling the truth about how she felt. She wasn't a heavy drinker. I saw her house and she was a slob. She seemed to adore me. She cooked me shawarma.